I've had several requests for an updated rose tour, so let's go over everything I have blooming in the garden.
I have over 25 different varieties around the house to show y'all today.
The first rose here next to the house is Earth Angel. This rose is absolutely covered in flowers right now. It's pretty tall too. I'm 5'7" and it's almost as tall as I am. Let me back up a little bit so you can see the whole rose bush in all of its glory. This one has a very light fragrance. The petals on this rose are so pretty. They're very fully cupped and almost like a peony. One thing that kind of surprised me with this rose when I purchased it was that the flowers are a little bit smaller than what I initially thought in my mind that they'd be. I thought they'd be, I don't know, about that big around, but they're smaller. But that does not detract from their beauty. They're still very beautiful. It has a very light fragrance, not too incredibly strong compared to some of my other roses.
However, this bush is still on the younger side. It's only a couple years old, so maybe that fragrance will develop over time. Because I have read in several places that it should have a very strong citrusy fragrance. This is a Floribunda rose by the breeder Cords, and it is a repeat bloomer, so it'll flower a lot.
The next rose next to it is Jude the Obscure. This rose is a David Austin rose. Looks like we have to go over here to see it in full bloom. There's a lot of buds all over it, but the actual flowers are over on this side.
And it is completely covered in buds. So there will be a pretty nice showing here in a few weeks, I'm sure, with all of these flower buds that'll be blooming. Now, the couple flowers that we have do not disappoint. This rose is by the breeder David Austin, and that's kind of a theme you'll see throughout my garden. I have several of the David Austin roses. I love the traditional cottage garden look of their roses and just the way that they're cupped, and that kind of softball peony shape is just so pretty. That's my favorite type of rose, which you'll see I have a lot that look like this. The petal count on this rose is supposed to be about 70 petals. Now, I haven't taken off all the petals and counted myself, but it is a very full looking rose, just like the Earth Angel. However, the Jude the Obscure rose has a little bit of a bigger flower head. They both have that cupped peony shape, but as you can see, Earth Angel is a little bit smaller than the Jude the Obscure flower bloom. Jude the Obscure is a repeat flower, just like Earth Angel, and its fragrance is probably my favorite thing about this rose, in addition to its beautiful shape. It is said to have a fragrance reminiscent of guava fruit and sweet white wine.
Jude the Obscure is my favorite rose that I have. The smell and fragrance on it is so intoxicating. I love this rose. The next two roses here are very vibrant yellow. These are my mystery Costco rose. If you happen to know what rose variety you think this is, let me know in the comments because I'd love to actually put a name with this rose rather than just saying it's my mystery Costco one. It was supposed to be a completely different color when I purchased it from Costco, but it was a happy, happy surprise because it is beautiful. This rose is also very strongly fragrant as well. It's just quite lovely.
These two yellow roses also seem to have pretty healthy foliage as well. I haven't noticed a whole lot of disease issues, and the leaves tend to be on the shinier side and a nice dark rich green. It is a repeat flower as well, putting out nice yellow flowers all season long. And the flowers are just very vibrant yellow too. Very pretty. I like it a lot.
Down here, there's an itty bitty rose next to this yellow one that is Koko Loko. It doesn't have any flowers on it yet because I just planted it a few weeks ago.
The rose actually put out a few of its first flowers since I filmed the initial clip of this video. This rose produces several different color variations, some lavender, mocha, taupe tones, as well as some almost silvery, kind of iridescent shades as well. This rose is a Floribunda rose, and it is also a repeat flower by the breeder Christian Bedard with a medium fragrance.
Moving over, this is another newer rose. This one is called State of Grace.
I admit one of the reasons I purchased this rose is for the name itself. We could all use a little more grace in our lives, and I could definitely be in a state of giving out more grace more often. But couldn't we all?
I love the different toned colored petals on this rose. It almost has an ombre effect to the rose itself.
Hopefully it is coming across clearly on this video. Sometimes the lighting makes the rose look a little bit different than in person.
It starts out sort of a pink, almost gray, and a pale orange apricot with this bright yellow center. And then if you flip on the underside, it's almost a fuchsia pink on the bottom. Milder fragrance though. We'll see if the fragrance develops as the rose matures. The next one here is Munstead Wood. Munstead Wood is highly, highly fragrant, but extremely thorny. It's kind of annoying to cut this one because of how prickly the thorns are, but the smell and the color are really beautiful, so I still cut it and bring it in the house. But you can see those stems are covered in thorns. The color on this one also changes too. It starts out a brighter pink, and then as it matures, it typically goes a darker purple, kind of like this down here.
It's truly more of a burgundy color than purple or pink. It's kind of hard to describe exactly what this shade is. It's like a purplish red. This rose is also by the English breeder David Austin. And like I mentioned, it is very strongly fragrant. It has a beautiful, lovely smell to it, which is one of my biggest requirements for roses.
Princess Charlene de Monaco is this little bush right here. This is also a newer one. And behind her is Eden. This one had some beautiful flowers on it a few days ago. I'll insert clips of those here.
Sadly, I could not find the clip of the rose in full bloom. However, I did find a little clip of some of the buds. You can see they have a very vibrant pink bud. This is the tag off of the pot, which shows what the roses should look like at maturity. Very pretty and fully cupped.
Eden got battered by some rain and heavy humidity the last day or two, but I also captured some pretty video of the Eden climbing rose a couple days ago, and it was spectacular. I love how this rose looks on this fence here, and it's making me very, very happy to have it in my garden. It was absolutely gorgeous. The flowers are faded right now, but I'm glad I was able to capture them when they were looking really pretty a few days ago.
Eden is one of those roses that I wasn't quite sure about. The first little while it was in the ground, it really did not perform that well. But this year has been its first year of truly putting out a lot of really pretty blooms. I love the way these blooms are really fully cupped. Now, they do not have the strongest fragrance. It's very light, almost no fragrance at all to this rose. But the petal shape and the way it looks so swirly on the inside is really beautiful and makes up for the lack of fragrance. This is by the rose breeder Milan.
I have more roses planted around the rest of the house, so let's walk around and I'll show you the rest. But that does it for the west side of the house. Coming around the front of the house, there are more roses on the other side. I'd love to know your favorite rose. What is your favorite rose variety? I'm always looking for new roses to add to the garden. So let me know in the comments what your favorite rose is and what you like about it. Over here, next to the other side of the porch, I have two white drift roses. These roses have very petite little white flowers on them.
Some of the flowers are a little brown and shriveled up right now, but you get the general idea of what they're supposed to look like.
They are so cute and they form in big clusters. These drift roses almost look like they glow at nighttime. The little white flowers really stand out against the dark mulch, and especially when it's dusk or evening, I like how they light up this space. This is a pretty shady side of the garden, so they're very nice to have in here to make things pop. We also really like hanging out on these porch swings, so it's nice to see those here. This incredible hydrangea, although it's not a rose, is getting ready to bloom, and it's about to put on a pretty good show. All of these flower blossoms are a pale green right now, but they're about to turn vibrant white and become pretty big. So that'll be really nice to see. So subscribe if you want to see those. I'll be sure to show you guys. All right, let's keep walking around and I'll show you the ones on the back side of the house. I love hydrangeas and roses and dahlias. Pretty much any type of flower I really like. My big green hydrangeas here don't have any flowers on them yet, but they will pretty soon. The Incredible hydrangea, which is the one I just showed you, is always the first to bloom, and then the limelights follow after it. Right next to our house, this rose right here is actually a knockout rose. It's a yellow knockout rose though, not your traditional red ones that I normally see around anyway. I like this one. It comes in about 3 different shades on the plant. The blooms start out bright yellow, and then when they open up, they're yellow with a little bit of white rippling, and then they fade to a white as they've been in the sun for a while. It's really pretty. There's not too many flowers right now, but I'll show you the ones that are on here. You can see it's yellow in the center and a little bit of white around the outer edges. And this one down here has faded to almost completely white with just a little hint of pale yellow. But the new buds as they're forming are a bright yellow. It reminds me of butter popcorn. Here on the south side of the house, this bed's a work in progress.
It is one of our newer beds, and I'm still working out exactly what I want to plant.
But so far I have lavender lining the front of it. Only one lavender bush is blooming at the moment. The rest have all their flowers though.
The lavender in the garden just smells so lovely. I really like things that are highly fragrant, if you can't tell, because I love the roses and lavender and other flowering plants. This lavender just gives me a nice whiff every time I walk by.
The roses all on the back side of the house are all younger, so they're smaller, but the flowers are still beautiful. Louise Clements is the first rose here.
Louise Clements is a shrub rose. It is continual blooming, and it has a very pretty, vibrant, almost copper orange color in the center with sort of a pale pink outer petal. The guard petals on the outside also fade and get a little bleached in the sun as the rose stays on the plant longer. But the inside still stays pretty vibrant the whole time.
Then next to Louise Clements is Sunbelt South Africa.
Sunbelt South Africa is by the rose breeder Cords. It has been a pretty good performer this summer so far. I've been very impressed initially by how green and shiny the leaves are, as well as the flower clusters. It seems to be continually cranking out beautiful flowers day after day.
This orange rose is very vibrant, and I love how bright it is. The rooster does too. Then the next rose here at the end of the corner of the porch is the Lady of Shalott.
The Lady of Shalott, or Shalott, I sometimes pronounce things wrong, and I do apologize, has a beautiful bud when it first gets started. I think this is almost one of the most striking parts about this rose. I love all of this rose, but the buds on this are so cool. They're two-toned in color. They have almost a red tinge to them, but once the blooms fully open up, they take on more of an orange with almost a golden, yellow, pale color on the underside. Sometimes they're a little more vibrant, just depends on the day.
This one is about a year older than these other two right here next to it.
And this one is also by the breeder David Austin.
Then if you saw my other rose planting video, I planted a lot of new roses here around this new bed. Over in my new rose bed, I have a few roses that are just starting to bloom. There's lots of new bushes right here, and there's going to be roses climbing this arch as well.
The first rose here in this bed is called Bring Me Sunshine. I love the name of that. It's so nice and cheery, just like sunshine.
Bring Me Sunshine is threatening to become a runner-up for one of my favorites in the garden. Look at those flowers. Aren't those gorgeous? And the smell is so nice. It has such a lovely fragrance. I like my roses to have a strong fragrance, and this one certainly does. I also think the foliage looks pretty healthy. It's got a nice green leaf. I don't see any black spot or disease issues. So hopefully that stays true as this rose matures. Next to bring me sunshine here is Desdemona. Desdemona has a pale pink flower, and it seems to turn more of a white cream once it's been bleached by the sun a little bit and it's matured. It has a very light fragrance compared to Bring Me Sunshine though. Carding Mill is the next rose next to Desdemona.
Carding Mill is also a David Austin rose. It is medium in fragrance with a myrrh scent. It is a repeat flower as well. And the petals on this are an orange apricot, but it seems kind of brassy copper with almost a tinge of sort of a reddish orange, especially in the buds. The buds are a lot darker than when the flower emerges. I think it's a beautiful rose, and I'm really loving this look. It's very pretty.
Then beside Carding Mill, we have Tranquility. Tranquility has a beautiful white flower. Then we have Port Sunlight. I kind of like the almost star effect of this flower.
Port Sunlight is also by David Austin, and it is a repeat flowering medium tea fragrance rose. The pictures online have it having an almost ruffled flower inside. It'll be interesting to see how this rose matures.
Up against the house is Wollerton Old Hall. I don't have any flowers blooming on that yet.
Subscribe if you want to see what this one looks like here in the future.
Next to Port Sunlight is Pope John Paul II. It's covered in buds. I did get one really pretty flower off it the other day, but no big white flowers right now. But I loved the smell on that one. That one smelled really good.
Pope John Paul II, when I actually got it in the mail, it had a pretty white rose on it. And this is the second bloom that it has pumped out. It smells so lovely. It's very strong. And it seems to be a pure, crisp white too.
We have a new rose arch trellis in the garden, and I have two climbing roses on each side. I have Polka and the Impressionist. Both of these I'm really excited about to climb up and over this arch trellis, but they're really small right now and there's no flowers on it currently.
I did get one really pretty rose on Polka the other day. It had almost a flatter profile than some of the other ones, but I'm excited to see it climb up and over this arch trellis in the future.
Oh, I almost forgot. There's one more rose over here up against the retaining wall fence. That's Crown Princess Margaret. That one has a rose on it, actually. Let's go over there and look at it.
This actually probably isn't the best example because this bloom is a little bit on the older side.
The roses in the garden definitely hold a special place in my heart. I love roses and I love their fragrance even more. Don't forget to let me know in the comments what your favorite rose is. Thanks for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, y'all.